What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today it is time for the Week 15 Premier League predictions video. Now, for the first time, I'm actually pre-recording a Full 90 video, so I don't have the results of the previous week. If you don't follow me on my main channel or you didn't hear me mention it, I think in my last Full 90 video, actually, I am going away on holiday to Paris for a few weeks. So I think, let me just check, I think the Premier League predictions videos for this week and then Week 16 and then the Champions League Week 6 prediction video, which doesn't really matter too much because that will be recorded after all the Champions League games. But basically, the Week 15 Premier League prediction and the Week 16 Premier League prediction video will be recorded before the results of the previous week and before any information that I could possibly find out from the 1st of December onwards, because I am going on holiday, so that hopefully nothing happens drastically that will really affect my predictions, but I won't be able to in the video reflect back on how my previous predictions did. But in this video, although they haven't happened at the time of recording yet, I'm going to let you know again once more real quick my Week 14 predictions, so you could maybe pause this video, go out and see how I did, because I can't do that in this video because it's pre-recorded. So go check and see how I did. Let me know in the comments if I did alright. So before we get into the Week 15 predictions, my Week 14 predictions were, I'll go straight through. There were some I was sort of on the fence about, some I was kind of being a bit risky, but basically either way, here is what I came up with. Wolves beating Cardiff at Cardiff 2-1. Crystal Palace beating Burnley at their own ground 2-0. Huddersfield and Brighton sharing a 1-1 draw at Huddersfield. Watford beating Leicester 2-1 at their own, at Leicester's own ground, which would be interesting. Manchester City winning at the Etihad 5-1 against Bournemouth. Newcastle beating West Ham 2-1 for the 4th consecutive win in a row. Manchester United actually beating Southampton 3-1, finally getting some goals there. Chelsea beating Fulham 3-1. Tottenham beating Arsenal at the Emirates 2-1. I'm very interested to see how that game turns out. And Liverpool winning the Merseyside derby 2-0. So let me know in the comments how I did, and let me know, of course, in the comments your predictions for Week 15, because although I won't be able to feature in the next video because I'll be gone, I still love to read them, and I'm interested to see what everyone has to say. But anyway, beginning Week 15, kicking it off, we have Bournemouth versus Huddersfield. Now, Bournemouth, this is a game that they have to win. They've been playing well up until this point, and they've been unlucky with the results. I think their last 4 results in all competitions have been 2-1, 1 of which they won, 3 of which they lost, which is really unfortunate for them. The 3 they lost being in the Premier League and the 1 they won being in the League Cup, I think. So as far as Premier League goes, losing 2-1 every single game is really unfortunate, and it was, you know, against Newcastle and then Man United and Arsenal. So maybe there's a bit of room to forgive there, but I think Bournemouth were unlucky to get nothing out of those 3 games. Like, to think they got literally 0 points out of those 3 games is kind of harsh. And although Huddersfield played really well the last time I saw them play against Wolves, and I did predict them last week to draw with Brighton 1-1. I don't know how that actually turned out. I think Bournemouth will be a little bit too strong for Huddersfield here, especially at home, and I think Bournemouth are going to get a much needed clean sheet here and going to walk away with the win 2-0. The next game is Brighton versus Crystal Palace. Now, if there's ever a team that's going to draw a game 1-1, it's Brighton. I predicted it last week. I don't know if it came true, but I'm predicting once again at home a Brighton 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace thing is slightly stronger than Brighton, I would say. To be honest, I don't even know anymore. At the start of the season, I would have told you that Crystal Palace was stronger, but again, like I said, I don't really know. I don't really know anymore. So I am going with Brighton 1-1 at home. Their home form is solid. Their defence has been decent. They don't bang in loads of goals, but they are fairly good at keeping it tight. And obviously, the last prediction for Brighton that I do know did end 1-1 between Brighton and Leicester, which was a great result for them. And I see something very similar happening here in Week 15 as to Week 13. The next game is West Ham United against Cardiff. Now, Cardiff, they're starting to settle a little bit in the Premier League. Will they stay up? I'm not entirely sure. I think with Huddersfield picking up a bit of form lately and Newcastle picking up a bit of form lately, that only makes things bad for Cardiff, and Fulham picking up a bit of form as well, you know, recently beating Southampton. I don't know how Fulham got against Chelsea. I'd expect them to lose that, which I did predict, but you never know. So with the teams that looking like they could get relegated, Fulham, Newcastle and Huddersfield all picking up form. Although Cardiff are looking better than they were at the start of the season, in comparison, they're still looking like a side that are going to go down, and maybe Cardiff will finish 19th, something like that. It's going to be very tough for them this year regardless. I'm going for a West Ham home win, 2-1. West Ham finally getting back to winning ways. I predicted them last week to lose against Newcastle. Whether that happened, I don't know. Maybe that ended in a draw. I'm not entirely sure, but I think West Ham will have enough to beat this Cardiff side at the London Stadium. The next game is Watford versus Man City. Again, don't know how Watford got on last week, but I did actually predict them to beat Leicester away. So that that could be interesting. Maybe it happened. I don't know. But I'm still predicting a convincing Man City win here. Liverpool got the 3-0 win against Watford away at Watford's ground. I'm going with Man City to get the 4-1 win, with Watford trying to push a little bit, kind of taking a leaf out of Lyon's book, because Lyon beat Man City and drew with Man City in the Champions League, playing very attacking football. When they were drawing with Man City, Lyon were very attacking and they got the lead. Then as soon as they got the lead, they would park the bus a little bit and Man City would score. So parking the bus against Man City is not the way to go. That is how they break you down, and that is how they score loads of goals. And I think Watford, although they're going to lose, I think they are going to push forward and attack Man City, because that is where they're most vulnerable. Don't get me wrong, the defence is so solid. You know, they've conceded, I think, 5 goals at the time of recording in the Premier League so far, which is insane for the amount of goals they've scored and the amount of games they played. But I think Watford, if they do just push a little bit, might be able to get that goal. So I am going for 4-1. The next game is Liverpool versus Burnley. Burnley are having a difficult time. I predicted them to lose last week to Crystal Palace, and the previous result they did lose to Newcastle. Although there was some positives to take from the Week 13 Newcastle game, I don't know how they got on against Palace, but I think they are not going to be strong enough to beat Liverpool. I, to this point, haven't even seen the PSG Liverpool result. They're playing tonight in about 5 hours. I'm excited to watch that. But I am going to go with a 3-0 Liverpool win here. Clean sheet away. I think Liverpool are going to get the win. The next game is Everton against Newcastle. Now, Newcastle, they are playing a little bit better. They're playing like you'd expect Newcastle to play, looking like a team that's going to finish maybe in the mid to low table rather than the relegation zone, which is, you know, what you'd expect. But Everton, they're looking strong, they're looking good, and they are looking to push, certainly for the top 6. They're giving United a good run for the 6th spot. Will United get 6th? Over the course of the whole season, you'd expect a squad of their caliber on paper to at least get 6th, maybe even 5th. But Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool and City look like they've already got the top 5 locked. You know, it genuinely looks like Man United aren't going to get a look in. But Everton are looking strong, and I'm going with Everton to beat Newcastle 2-1, just being the stronger side at Goodison Park. I think Everton should definitely win that game. The next game is Fulham hosting Leicester. This is bound to be an interesting game, and although Fulham, I think, are going to start playing a little bit better, I do think Leicester are going to be able to win this one. I'm going with 2-1 to make things interesting for Ranieri. It'll be interesting to see how he does, because if they do lose to Chelsea and then lose to Leicester, that's back-to-back losses for him despite the win at Southampton. So it'll be interesting to see then, going further into the festive period, how Ranieri responds to that and gets the team rallied up. The next game is Wolves versus Chelsea. I'm going for I wouldn't say a controversial prediction, but Chelsea have been a little bit... They've been okay. They've been decent. They've been decent, but obviously they lost to Tottenham 3-1. I'm predicting them to beat Fulham 3-1. I don't know how that one turned out. I'm actually going to go for a low-scoring game here. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Chelsea. Wolves were notorious for getting 1-0, 2-0 wins against sort of teams on their level, but they've also drawn with Man City. You know, the only other team other than Liverpool to take points from Man City. I know the goal went in with the guy's hand, which if there was VAR, it definitely wouldn't have been allowed, but they still got the win. They hung in there, and they managed to draw against Man United as well. I think they just are good at playing good teams, so I think it's going to be close, but I do think Chelsea are going to do the business and just get that one goal they need to end this game 1-0. Now, the next game, Old Trafford. Big game. Definitely, I would say, in my opinion, yeah, looking at it, it's the game of the week. Arsenal versus Manchester United at Old Trafford. Now, I predicted last week that Arsenal would lose to Tottenham 2-1, and that Man United would beat Southampton 3-1. So by all means, go back, check how I did in regards to those predictions. But I am going for something, I suppose, against the odds, but maybe some people would expect it. I'm going for Arsenal to win this one 2-1. Man United do have a decent record against Arsenal, but I think Unai Emery's, he's just got it down. He's doing well. I like what he's doing with Arsenal, and Jose Mourinho at Man United doesn't seem to know what he's doing exactly. Maybe he has his own plan, but it's not really working. They drew with Crystal Palace. They just, luckily, to be honest, beat Young Boys. They managed to get a shock win against Juventus. There are all those stats you could look at. But I just think, you know, Arsenal, they drew with Liverpool, played a great game there a few weeks back. They managed to, you know, they beat Bournemouth. They played decently well. They just play some good football. They're still at the time recording on their unbeaten streak. So I am going with Arsenal to win this game at Old Trafford 2-1. That is a big one. But I honestly could see it happening. Again, draw half-time, Arsenal full-time, maybe even 0-0 half-time, 2-1 full-time. Neither team being able to score in the first half just because Man United are slow to start. Arsenal are scrappy as well. And Arsenal just attack better than Man United. They're quicker and faster. So, yeah, I'll go for it. 0-0 half-time, 2-1 full-time. We'll see how that's coming. I've done that twice correctly with Arsenal. So let's hope for the best. The final game is Tottenham versus Southampton, and I think Tottenham are going to do what they do and just get a clinical win, low scoring, under 2.5 goals, clean sheet, but a win nonetheless. I think they're going to beat Southampton 2-0 here. You know, they'll get the second goal and won't necessarily need to push much further. It seems that they're not like City in the sense that they just go for goals and goals and goals. Maybe they do and they're just not clinical enough. I haven't really watched many Tottenham performances, but from looking at the results, it seems they just do what they do, what they need to do to get the win, and don't really go beyond that, which is why I think top 4 spot is good for them, but I don't think they'll really be pushing for the title this year because they need that extra gear to go into, like they did against Chelsea, really, to really make a go of it. So yeah, I'm going for Tottenham to win there. So that is going to do it for this week of Premier League predictions. I'll be back in a few days with the week 16. I think that'll be uploaded in 3 days' time on the 6th of December. If I've done this all correct, that'll be the week 16 predictions. And then on the 10th of December, I'll be uploading the final group stage Champions League prediction video. So subscribe today so you don't miss that. Turn on the bell and get notifications. I want to thank you all for the mad amount of support on the channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.